Hello my fellow degenerates, I'm your friendly otaku from another world, and today I would like to talk to you about the series that started me off on this little journey. Arifureta, from commonplace to world's strongest. Arifureta is a popular light novel series written by Ryo Shirakuma and illustrated by Takayaki, and in 2019 was adapted into an anime by As Red and White Fox Studios. After being transported to another world, our chyuuni, Hajime Nagamo, is betrayed and broken with a skill everybody calls useless. But with the help of a healthy amount of edgelord attitude, he can make a goal to return to Japan, no matter what he has to do. And if he happens to pick up a harem along the way, that's just a bonus. But before that, let me get into something a bit more appropriate for the situation. Perfect. I'll begin with a complete review of each season so everyone's on the same page, then talk about the changes made between the anime, manga, and light novel. So let's dive into it, and if anyone gets in our way, we'll crush them. Man, demon, even God. So let's start at the beginning. The prologue that aired after the first season finished, naturally. We're introduced to Hajime Nagamo sleeping at his desk one high school morning when he's suddenly awoken by Daisuke Hayama, who proceeds to harass him. Just then, their classmate, Kaori Shidasaki, approaches Hajime and greets him, which prompts Daisuke to return to his friends. Soon after, Kaori's friends, Shizuka Yaegashi, Kaoki Amanagawa, and Rotaro Sakagami approaches her and Hajime. Shizuka greets Hajime while pointing out how hard his social life at school is, to which Hajime casually brushes off. Kaoki then proceeds to lecture Hajime, believing he's trying to get Kaori's attention for himself. Kaori, however, interjects and claims that she's talking to Hajime because it's something she wants to do. Kaoki interprets Kaori's gesture as an act of kindness in trying to help their classmate. Unfortunately, this causes the rest of Hajime's classmates to openly resent him for talking to the school's goddess. Even so, Hajime is not bothered by this and resolves to dedicate himself to his own hobbies, gaming and anime. Their teacher, Aiko Hadayame, enters the classroom and is prepared to start the lesson, but at that moment, a mysterious glowing circle suddenly appears between Koki's feet. Aiko attempts to evacuate everyone, but the circle quickly engulfs them in a flash of light. Once the light dissipates, everyone sees that they're in an unfamiliar room that is surrounded by various artworks. They are then approached by three individuals, Pope Ishtar, King Elhead, and Knight Commander Meld. The students soon learn that they've been summoned to the world of Tortoise by the god Ehed in order to aid humanity in their war with the demons. Ultimately, the students, Kaoki, agrees to help the humans of Tortoise. Meld later begins training the students in the Highland Kingdom's royal capital. He starts by talking about the status plates that each of them had been given and the overall function. The students then activate their plates to see their jobs and skills. It is during this moment that Kaoki is discovered to have the rear combat job of hero, like a tool. When Hajime activates his status plate, however, it's revealed that he has the average job of synergist, as well as having average stats, almost as if he's commonplace. Much to his disappointment, Daisuke suddenly approaches Hajime to see his stats and immediately mocks him for his unremarkable abilities. Aiko then interjects, expressing her disapproval of Daisuke's bullying and attempts to support Hajime by revealing that she also has low stats on her status plate. However, she is revealed to have the rare job of farmer with high magical stats, which serves to only further dismay Hajime for being the only one with weak stats. From there, we see Hajime being thrown into the abyss of the Great Orgus Labyrinth. At the bottom, after waking up, he sees a battle between My New Nightmare Fuel, a demon rabbit, and a pack of Raikou cosplayers. Assuming the wolves got this, he's surprised when he sees the rabbit starts airwalking, moving faster than he can see. Within seconds, the wolves are defeated, but before he can run, the rabbit notices him, attacking instantly. Before the demon rabbit can finish the job, a giant "fuck you" in the form of a bear shows up, one-shotting the rabbit. Still in shock, the bear tears off his left arm, and that big bag motherfucker eats it right in front of him. Hajime escapes by transmuting his way deep into the ground. By a stroke of luck, he finds a divinity stone that creates a constant, nigh unlimited pool of ambrosia, allowing him to staunch the bleeding of his now missing arm. In a few flashbacks, it is revealed that Hajime was pushed into the abyss by one of his classmates after trying to save Kaori from a behemoth. Hajime is stuck in the abyss and starts to break due to intense hunger. He eventually loses reason and begins to hunt the extremely strong wolves by using traps. Hajime is stuck in the abyss and starts to break due to intense hunger. He eventually loses reason and begins to hunt the extremely strong wolves by using traps. Upon eating one, the cells of the monster changes his DNA, and only the constant healing from the ambrosia saves his life. His body transforms, becoming much stronger due to the constant healing of his muscles that keeps getting torn apart from the symbiosis of his DNA and the monster, and his hair turns white, like any good Chinibyo. From there, he learns he gets the ability of whatever he eats, so my boy says bet and starts hunting everything, getting iron stomach, mana manipulation, lightning field, aerodynamics, and after shooting off Mr. Big Back Arm himself and eating that bitch in front of him, cause my boy is cold, he gets Gale Claw, while his transmute begins to evolve. After his transformation, he uses his transmutation skill to create powerful weaponry through trial and error, eventually unlocking his inner American and creating his first pistol, Donner, a techno-magical revolver that he combines with lightning field to make a literal railgun in his hands, like any self-respecting Chinibyo. It's goddamn beautiful. Along with several types of grenades. After murking everything on the first floor and not finding a way up, Hajime contemplates that since he can't find a way up, he has to go down. He had already accumulated all the necessary resources for the upcoming journey thanks to his increased stats and skills by consuming monster meat. Hajime is faced with a variety of monsters on various floors of the bottom of the abyss, gaining skills along the way and fully maxing out his crafting tree until he reaches the 50th floor where he finds a giant door. He thinks the door in front of him might give him answers, though seeing it, he makes a comparison to Pandora's box and wonders what hope lies beyond. Spoiler, it's the only thing that keeps him human. When he reaches the door, he finds a strange inscription that he hasn't seen or read in the kingdom's library. He considers that it might be something a lot older and decides to transmute the door open. But when he tries to do that, the door counterreacts, which forces Hajime back. Suddenly, the two giant statues beside the door come alive to reveal Cyclops-like monsters, who immediately start attacking. Hajime isn't surprised by this cliche event and immediately kills the first one by shooting its eye to avoid the 2v1 situation. And after, let's say, fighting the second one, he shoots that one in the eye too. He uses the mana stones in the Cyclopes to unlock the door. When he enters, the whole place starts brightening up as if unlocking more of itself. Hajime finds a strange spinning golden cube floating in the air, which surprises him. Suddenly, a voice calls out to him asking who's there. He looks to find that the golden cube has stopped spinning and a naked girl is stuck in it. Hajime is surprised to find a person in a place like this, but my boy's played Elden Ring. He knows a boss room when he sees one. He don't want nothing to do with that shit. So he apologizes to the girl for bothering her and attempts to leave. The girl's surprised by this reaction but asks him to wait and help her, telling him that she was betrayed, triggering his trauma. Hajime stops while remembering the events from the bridge. Not liking that fact, Hajime decides to ask why she was betrayed and sealed down here. The girl is confused by this initially, but then goes on to answer that she belongs to the vampire race and is extremely powerful. She used to use her power to protect her people, but one day the ministers of the nation said that they don't need her anymore, and her uncle informed her that he would rule instead. She also tells him that she's effectively immortal and that she can heal from any injury or damage as long as she has mana. Also, she can directly manipulate mana and can even use spells without magic circles, which is supposed to be impossible. This surprises Hajime, as her powers are practically rule-breaking. You're one to talk, my dude. The girl again asks Hajime to help her. He contemplates a bit, but decides to free her. The girl, finally free from her shackles, asks Hajime's name. In return, he asks for hers, but she says she doesn't need anything from her past life, and asks him to name her. To which he decides on the name Yue. I'm sure that's not going to be a recurring thing. Meanwhile, in the Hylia kingdom, Meld, Shizuka, Koki, and Rotaro are having an audience with the king and the pope. And all that really comes from this is, Meld is a decent human being, and the king and the pope are some real assholes. Later, while Shizuka is walking down the castle hall, she's worried about Kaori, who hasn't woken up since Hajime fell into the bridge. She recounts the events of how Mel had to knock Kaori unconscious in order to stop her from doing something drastic after Hajime's fall. She then goes to the castle courtyard in order to clear her mind while practicing her sword form. During this time, she recalls about the day they got summoned to Tortoise and met Ishtar, who informed them that there had been an ongoing bloody war between the humankind and the demonkind for centuries. While the power scale between the two sides had remained on par for a while, in recent years, the demon kind had learned to control monsters, which tipped the scales in their favor. Because of this, humanity is on the brink of destruction. Seeing the plight of the humans, the god of creation, Ehud, summoned heroes with incredible powers to fight for the kingdom and save humanity. Hearing this, Kalki jumped in and decided to fight for the sake of the humans of Tortoise and asked everyone to help him. Aiko starts to object to Kalki's decision because she doesn't want her students to be in danger, and it's her duty as the only adult present to protect them. While Kalki is initially flustered by Aiko's objection, Rotaro confirms his support to Kalki's decision, which prompts Shizuka and Kaori to agree with it. This doesn't make Aiko happy, and she starts throwing a tantrum in order to stop her students. After recollecting the events of the past, Shizuka finishes her sword training and feels that something is wrong, and things aren't really that easy. Suddenly, she hears mumbling from nearby and turns to find Daisuke walking away. Can you be any more obvious, my dude? She ends up calling at him, which surprises him, and he becomes a lot more flustered. He replies to Shizuka that he wasn't doing anything. Can you at least try to have a little chill, my dude? Shizuka says that she was practicing in order not to get rusty and invites Daisuke to do the same, to which he vaguely replies that he doesn't need it and goes away. After he goes, Shizuka wonders why he's acting weirdly. I wonder why. She then recalls that Daisuke always used to pick on Hajime when they were back in Japan, and even did the same thing after being summoned to Tortoise. And it was always Kaori who tried to stop him. Shizuka wondered whether Daisuke had feelings for Kaori and wondered more about the incident in the labyrinth, but then gave up the thought considering it impossible. Hajime and Yui descends deeper into the labyrinth, discovering one another's stories and forming a unhealthy relationship with one another, until they finally reach the final floor and find a giant fuck you Hydra. Worst part, it has a proper team count. 3 DPS, 1 tank, 1 status debuff, and a healer head. After Yui spell slinging like it's Friday Night Magic, and Hajime whipping out Schlangen, a goddamn anti-material rifle that he also turned into a railgun because there is no kill like overkill. He destroys all 6 heads. Unfortunately, the Hydra has one final trick, growing a 7th head and firing off a giant fuck you beam at Yui, who used up 2-inch mana and can't dodge. So Hajime jumps in front of her, losing an eye for the trouble. After an emotional moment where Yui takes up Donner to protect Hajime, he does what he does best, go full chyuuni, evolves his skill unlocking Rift Walk and Limit Break, finally defeating the Hydra and passing out. So we cut to the Holy Church where Aiko and the Pope are arguing about the students still being in shock after watching their classmate die. Aiko threatens to stop farming if they force the students to go into the labyrinth again, so the Pope agrees to only take the people that want to go because everyone knows an army marches on the stomach. After, we cut to the labyrinth where Kaori is still looking for Hajime. Kalki tries cheering her up by being a dumbass and telling her to just get over it. Hajime awakens after his fight with the Hydra and discovers a naked Yui sleeping next to him. After waking her up, forcefully, they explore the Maverick's lair. While exploring, he comes across a corpse in a room with a magic circle in the middle. And like I said, my boy knows his anime tropes. So he walks in the circle and gets an info dump about the history of the world of Tortoise, and that the god Ehud is actually a real fucking asshole that plays games with the lives of everyone on Tortoise. Hajime decides that shit ain't got nothing to do with him, and he only has one goal: return to Japan, no matter what he has to do. And Yui says, damn straight, I'm with you. Hajime also learns a new magic, creation magic, the ability to imbue magic properties, including ancient magics in the minerals, creating new ore with special traits. The true power of this magic is the ability to manipulate inorganic material. It's the only form of magic which allows the creation of artifacts. He also learns that clearing the other labyrinths might be the only way for him to return home. With everything said and done, Hajime and Yui decides to relax. And by relax, I mean making a cool automail arm, a motorcycle, a Humvee, and a goddamn chain gun. Cause like I said, ain't no kill like overkill. We also learn Kalki's group has reached the 65th floor and re-challenges the Behemoth. And from that, all you really need to know is Kalki's kinda acting like a leader now. And Kaori is a top tier healer. From there, we move to Raisin Gorge, where we meet the mandatory fan service, Shie running away from monsters. I suppose. Hajime and Yui finally emerges from the Great Orcus Labyrinth, where they encounter Chie, who for some strange reason has been waiting for them. She explains that she sought Hajime and Yui to help save her family, who was forced to flee their homes in the Sea of Trees because of her. Apparently, she's a beastman, as if the heirs didn't give it away. And they are generally incapable of using magic due to their inability to wield mana, except she can, and a beastman that was born with the ability to wield mana were considered to be cursed and will be executed, along with anyone that was harboring them. She can use body enhancement magic, which makes her stronger, but more importantly, future sight, which provides a vague glimpse into the future. This magic consumes a tremendous amount of mana though, so she can only really use it once a day. After agreeing to guide the two to a possible labyrinth location, the duo turns them to the Sea of Trees while also putting a bear beastman on his ass. Hajime and Yui agree to train Chie and her tribe, eventually letting Chie join them when she proves herself strong enough. Though, Hajime went a bit overboard, training the others and created a literal army of Chunibyo rabbits. Hajime, Yui, and Chie are looking for the entrance to the labyrinth in the Raisin Gorge. After a few shenanigans, Chie eventually finds it in a cave. When they're all inside, the cutesy voice of Melody Raisin greets them, bewildering the group. Chie trips a trap that almost kills her. Unlike the first labyrinth, this one's filled with traps, so Chie's ridiculous body reinforcement magic ends up extremely useful here, where external magic is reduced. After navigating a bunch of different trap rooms, all the while being taunted by Melody's voice, the group ends back at the start, much to their chagrin. Back in the Hylia Kingdom, class members that have not joined Kalki's party debate their uselessness. Yuka, another girl saved by Hajime on the bridge that day, makes up her mind to join Aiko, and the rest of the class decides to follow her. Back to Hajime's group, they seem to have finally navigated to the doorway to the final room of the Great Raisin Labyrinth. Activating the room sends an army of autonomous armored suits after them. They easily make it through the final room and come face to face with a construct that claims to be Melody Raisin. Battle ensues after Hajime explains his goals. In the end, Chie deals the final blow, proving her usefulness to the group. Melody leaves them with a final warning about the god of Tortoise, stating that they will get in Hajime's way. The group departs for Melody's chamber where they meet Melody in a much more harmless form. The ancient magic that Melody governs turns out to be gravity magic. After the group runs her pockets, she quickly flushes them out to the river with a trap. Chie faints when she comes face to face with a layman. When they get to the surface, Hajime sees Chie in the water and he pulls her out and starts performing CPR, which Chie promptly takes advantage of and kisses Hajime aggressively. Hajime forcibly removes Chie and throws her back into the water, and they head to town for some proper lodging. Later, Hajime and his companions are asked by the Adventurers Guild to find missing adventurers, including a noble son. They travel to the nearby farming village, unaware the farm is being visited by Aiko and several classmates, though one classmate, Shimizu, has disappeared. Hajime tries to avoid them, but they hear Chie dox my boy. Aiko tearfully confronts him about where he's been and his new appearance, but all he did was work real hard. They are confronted by an arrogant Templar knight who insults Chie, so Hajime ups the switch and shoots him between the eye. Lucky for him, it was just a rubber bullet. His classmates are shocked and scared by his new merciless personality, though Aiko swears she will find a way to bring him back. Later, Hajime visits Aiko alone to tell her the truth about the war against the demons. Centuries ago, several humans discovered the truth. The god Ihet was not on their side. He was merely controlling the war for his own amusement. These forerunners became the liberators to free mortals from Ihet's tyranny. Unfortunately, Ihet, through the church, had them labeled heretics and renamed mavericks. The remaining liberators built the labyrinths to keep their ancient magic safe until someone capable of defeating Ihet came along to claim their powers. Before leaving, he also tells her in no uncertain terms that one of his classmates tried to murder him. The next morning, Aiko and the students stubbornly insist on helping them search the mountains for the adventurers, as Aiko wants to ask more questions about the liberators. Once in the mountains, Hajime uses transmuted drones connected to his jewel eye to search for the adventurers. They find the noble's son, Will, the only survivor, who reveals they were attacked by an army of monsters and a black dragon. And while returning, they are attacked by said dragon. Really? Hajime succeeds in knocking him from the sky and attempts to pierce his armor with his weapon, the pile bunker, which can drive magic metal stakes through any material. The dragon almost escapes until Chie knocks it out of the sky with Drunken. Deciding to forego piercing its scales, Hajime sadistically shoves the stake into its only unarmored area, its anus. Oof. Pretty sure some people pay extra for that. However, the pain causes the dragon to reveal she is a female dragonborn, capable of taking on a human form. I suppose. She begs him to remove the stake in exchange for everything she knows. She admits she was magically forced by someone to attack Will and his friends, and as atonement offers to help stop the person. Hajime decides to kill her anyway, but Yue convinces him to spare her. He removes the stake and the dragon transforms into a young woman named Tio, a shameless masochist who admits she enjoyed the stake just a little. Now their ally, Tio reveals the person, whoever he is, has an army of 60,000 monsters. Hajime is convinced to fight when Aiko asks him to, so he erects a barricade around the village while avoiding the amorous intentions of Tio, who finds his mixture of neglect and verbal abuse exciting. Hajime decides to dedicate their victory to the Aiko, the goddess of plenty. Embarrassing her, then proceeds to massacre the monster army with his transmuted minigun and rocket launchers. When his ammunition is depleted and Yue and Tio is out of magic, Hajime and Chie rushes to capture the mysterious robed commander as the monsters retreat. Hajime realizes the commander is the missing Shimizu. Shimizu admits he was disappointed not to be the only summoned hero, especially as he paled in comparison to his more powerful classmate, so he signed a contract with a demon, power in exchange for killing Aiko. He takes Aiko hostage, but before anything else could happen, Chie rushes them, pushing Aiko out of the way of a demon sniper that hits Shimizu. Though in the process, Chie and Aiko are scratched by a poison needle. Hajime shoots the sniper and heals Aiko with ambrosia via mouth to mouth. That one might be a problem. I'm going to keep my eye on that one. As Shimizu lies dying, he offers loyalty to Hajime, who spots the light in his eyes immediately and mercilessly executes him, devastating Aiko. As they leave, Yue correctly guesses the sniper was aiming at Aiko, so Hajime finished killing Shimizu so Aiko would blame him and not herself, enabling her to recover much quicker psychologically. Hajime returns Will to his father and collects his fee. Deciding they need a break and keeping a promise to Chie, Hajime goes on a date with her in the city. At an aquarium, they meet a sentient talking fish and decide to free him. As thanks, he passes on the rumor of a captured mermaid child. Deciding this doesn't concern him, Hajime and Chie wander the city until they sense a child in the sewers underground and rescues her. Enraging the slaver boss. Hajime and Chie keep Miu safe, but struggles with what to do next. Elsewhere, Yue and Tio discuss sharing Hajime between them. Hajime decides to give Miu to the city guards, despite her begging to stay with him. After handing a tearful Miu over, the guardhouse is attacked and Miu is kidnapped again, with a note saying, "Give them Chie or we'll kill you." Enraged, Hajime begins systematically executing known associates of the slavers looking for the upcoming auction, saving many children along the way. Locating the auction in the noble's mansion, Hajime executes the boss, rescues Miu, and blows up the mansion along with all the people in there. Good fucking riddance. As a result, Miu decides to start calling Hajime Papa. A win's a win. A win is a win. This causes Yue, Chie, and Tio to demand Hajime get them pregnant with his children. A win is a win, my dudes. Despite his unease, Hajime takes to parenting Miu quite well. They return to the city where the Great Orcus Labyrinth is located. While visiting the Adventurers Guild, Hajime meets a panicked Endo, one of his classmates, who warns them that Catalea, the demon, has set a trap in the labyrinth for the rest of Kalki's party. The party is overwhelmed by Catalea's summoned monsters, unable to get close to Catalea to try to kill her. Hajime seems like he's not listening until Endo upsets Miyu and he ups the switch. In the labyrinth, a student, Suzu, is injured, causing the rest of the party to panic. Hiyama and Nakamura both suggest signing contracts with the demon to survive. Kalki, after witnessing Meld gets injured, unlocks limit breaks and gets close to Catalea, but hesitates after she drops a locket with a picture of her lover, realizing she has a life outside the war. And while hesitating, he is seriously injured. Back to Hajime, with support from the girls, he decides to save his classmates, reasoning only one of them tried to kill him, meaning most of them are innocent. Shizuka, in a last-ditch effort, attempts to kill Catalea, but her sword is broken in the fight, so she's prepared to die alongside Kaori. However, they are saved at the last second by Hajime, having created a shortcut using his POW bunker to blast through the upper floor straight down. Everyone's shocked to learn Hajime is still alive. Hajime sees through Catalea magic and kills all her monsters. Hiyama is terrified at Hajime's return, fearing he will be discovered as his attempted murderer. Shock. It was him all along? Hajime gives Shizuka a new indestructible sword. Miyu calls Hajime Papa, confusing everyone and upsetting Kaori. Catalea attempts to flee but is caught by Hajime, who tortures her for information, shocking his classmates. Hajime learns a powerful demon has cleared one of the labyrinths and is using the ancient magic to create a monster army. Catalea warns him her lover will kill him in revenge, but Hajime kills her anyway, saying her lover is probably just a weakling. In the aftermath, Kalki is outraged Hajime executed the helpless Catalea, so Hajime berates him in return for being too weak to do what was necessary, warning Kalki if he or any of his classmates try to stop him, he'll kill them too. Kaori confesses she loves Hajime. Really? Nothing? But he turns her down as he already has Yue. Kaori insists on joining his team anyway to compete with Yue. Weird. Shizuka tries to return the sword he gave her, but he tells her to keep it, though it's suggested she may be developing a crush on him. Really? Nothing? So selective. As they leave in Hajime's transmuted SUV, Kaori is furious to discover she has to share the back with Chie and Tio, while Yue automatically gets the passenger seat beside Hajime. We end season 1 with Hajime determined to make it back to Japan no matter who he has to kill, even God himself. And that is season 1. And that is season 1 of Arifureta, From Commonplace to World's Strongest. But before I continue, I really need a seed. Perfect. Took me 3 years, but I finally did what I said I was going to do. Probably shit, but hey, I'm a shitty human being. Now then, before we move on to season 2, I'll explain some things that were left out of the anime that I feel were relatively important. This includes characters and motivations that, for some strange reason, was just left out. Until next time, hopefully this time, it won't take me 3 years to do it.